Good morning, everyone. I'm Bhavadharni from EC department, third year. Today, I'm going to explain about the topic is creating user accounts in Linux. So, creating user account in Linux is very simple. So, it it will perform some major things such as uh, a password, shadow, group, and G shadow files for the newly created user account. So, creating and populate a home directory for the new user and set permissions and ownerships to home directory. So, some of the basic syntax of the command sort user add and user add and username. In this article, we'll show the most used 15 user add commands with examples in Linux. So first part is basic usage with 10 examples, and the second part is advanced usage with 5 examples. So first we will learn about first part, basic usage with 10 examples and user add commands. So first one is how to add a new user in Linux. It is a it is to add or create a new user. You have to follow the command user add or add user with username, and the username is a user login name. It is used by user to log in into the system, and it is the user. It can be added and the username must be unique. So it, for example, to add a new user called Solida, so use the following command. So it is an example to add a new user. So we have to use this command root at localhost hashtag user at solida. So this is a command. This is a command for to add a new user called Solidar. And the next one is when we add a new user in Linux, user add commands, it gets created in locked states. And to unlock the user account, we need to set the password for the account with password command. So it is nothing. So when we add a new user in Linux, you can use the command user add. It gets created in locked states. And it will automatically create a locked states. And you and uh, and you to unlock this user account means you have to set a password for this account, PASSWD command. So this is a password command. So this is a example. This is a example for add a new user accounts in Linux. So root at localhost, password solidar, and changing password for the user solidar and the new Linux password. So retype the new Linux password, and the password is, it is all authentication tokens updated successfully. Okay. And the next new user creator, it is enrollee automatically added to the password file. So this file used to store a user information, and the entry should be solidar slash home slash solidar colon slash bin slash bash. So the above entry contains a set of 7 separated fields. Each field has its own meaning. Let's see what are these fields are. So what are the fields are username. So user login name used to log in into the system, and it should be between 1 to 32 character long. So the username should be between 1 to 32 characters long, and the password should be user password stored in slash etc shadow file in encrypted forms. So the user password must be stored in um, ex- slash etc slash shadow files in the encrypted forms. Okay. And the next one is user id. So user id, it is a every user must have a user id. So the next user identification number, by default uid 0 is reserved for root user, and uid ranges from 1 to 99 are they reserved for other predefined accounts. So further uids ranging from 100 to 999 are reserved from system accounts and groups. So the user information is that the field is optional, and allow you to define extra information about the user. For example, user full name. So this field is filled by finger command. And the next is home directory. Home directory, it is a absolute location of the user, and shell is the absolute location of a user shell. And next one is create a user with different home directory. So creating a user with different home directory means it is a user command. You creates a user home directory under slash home slash directory with username. So for example, you're seen above the default home directory for the user solid. So, however, this action can be changed by using minus D option along with the location of a new home directory. Um, Example slash home slash new user. So this is a example. So this is example for um this is example for changed action. So by using minus d option along with the location, we can we can change a new home directory. So this this example, root at localhost slash user at minus d home new user solid. So you can see the user home directory and other user related informations like user id, group id, shell and commands. And this is the below, it is an example for the user id commands. And the next step is creating a user with specific user id. So we have to create a user with a specific user id. So let's see the process. So every user has its own user id, user id, unique identification number, uid. So it is default. Whenever we create a new user accounts in Linux, it assigns user ID 500 and 501 and 502 and so on. So, but we can create a users with custom user ID with minus u options. So, for example, the following command will create a user Navin with custom user ID 999. So, this is added with root of at localhost slash user id minus u and 999 Navin. So it is verified that the user created with the defined user id using following command. Excuse me. So it is a it is an example. It is an example for creating a user id. So root at localhost slash cat slash etc slash password grep soldier. And these are the command used in verify the user. So the next step is create a user with specific group id. So it is the same process. So it is nothing, it is every user has its own group id. So we can create the user with a specific group id as well as with minus g option. So we can create the user with the specific user id with the minus g option. So it is the example. We will add user tarunika. We will add user tarunika. It is a specific user id and group id with the help of minus u and minus g or minus g options. So these g options, we can create a specific user id and group id. So here is a So here is an example. 1 minute. So um so minus u and minus j options, we can create a specific user id and group id. So it is now now we'll see the assigned user id and group id. So this example for user id and group id. So root at localhost slash cat slash etc, password slash grep tarunika and slash tarunika colon x dot x colon 1000 colon 500 slash home slash tarunika slash bin slash bash. So this is example for this. So the next step is to add a user to multiple groups. So with the help of minus j option is to add a user to the additional groups. Okay. So each group name is separated by commas. So each group name is separated by commas with no intervening spaces. So here is an example of adding a user. Let's see the example. So root at localhost slash id soldier, user id is equal to 1001, soldier it is equal to 1001 soldiers, groups equal to 1001 soldier, 500 admins, 501 web admins, 502 developers. So context equal to root system or colon unconfined. So system low, system high. So this is an example of is to add user to a multiple groups. So so the next one is add a user without home directory. So the previous one is add a user to a multiple groups. This one is add a user without home directory. It is a simple process. So we don't want to assign a home directories for a user due to some security reasons. So we don't want to assign a home directories for a users. So in such situation, when a user logs into a system that has just restarted, so its home directory will be root when it's home directory. So it is to create a users without their home directory. Minus m is used. So this command is minus m is used for add a user without home directory. So the following example is to add user without home directory is, let's see the example. So root at localhost slash user id minus m is used. Okay, minus m. So now, so now it is where so now it is verified that the user is created without home directory using oneness command. So this is oneness command is used for without home directory. So root at localhost slash one is -1 home slash lp. So it is a no files or directory. It is proved that it is no such files or a directory. And the next one is create a user with account expiry date. Okay, create a user with account expiry date. It specifies at as when we add user with user at command, user account never get expires, the expiry date is to set 0. So however we can set the expiry date using minus e option. So this is a command minus e option. Use this minus e option, we can create a user with account expiry date. So the set date is uh, so we can implement this set date is our birthday date, so date of birth, date, month and year format. So this is helpful for creating a temporary accounts for a specific period of time. So here is an example for creating a user, Aparna. Okay, with the account expiry date is 27th April 2014. So let's see, the example is root at localhost hashtag user ID minus C option is used. So 2014, so 2014 0327. So this is expiry date for upper now. Okay, this is an example. Now let's verify the age of the account and password with the change command for user Aparna after setting account expiry date. So this is an example. So verification. So root at localhost hashtag change one up minus one Aparna lost password change. So password express, password inactive, account express minimum number of days between password change and the number of days warning before password express. So this is an example. And the next one is create a user with password expiry date. So password expiry date, so this minus f command is used to define the number of days after a password expires. Okay, and it is a value of 0 or inactive the user account as soon as the password has expired. So here is an example. We'll set a account password. Okay, root at localhost user ID minus e 2014. So 2014 0427. So this is an example. So the next one is to add a user with custom commands. So the next one is add a user with custom commands. So in this custom commands, we add a user with custom commands means um, so the minus f argument is used to define the number of days after a password expires. So the value of 0 inactive the user account as soon as the password has expired. So the password expiry value set minus 1 means the never expires. So here is an example for this is an example is um, root at localhost user at minus e 2014 and minus if the soldier is used. So the next one is add a user with custom commands. So add a user with custom commands means will it is used minus c option you to add custom commands. Okay, so here is an example for the following commands. We'll add a user Monsi and would insert the user full name. Okay, so this is an example for add a user commands. So root at localhost user at minus c man is Kurana Mansi. So this is an example. And the next one is change user login shell. So change user login shell means so the minus yes option is used. Let's see the examples. So here is an example for change user login shell. Root at localhost hash user at minus s has been no login soldiers. So you can check the assign shell to use user in etc. Okay, so this is an example for this. So first part is successfully over. So the second part is advanced usage of user at commands. So advanced user at commands means um so so this so the below steps represent this. Okay, let's see the part two. um let's see the part two. Okay. Okay. So the first step is advance. So first step is add a user with a specific home directory default. Okay. So the following command will create a user Ravi with home directory. So here is an example. So here is an example for this command is root at localhost hash user add minus m minus d slash slash where slash www slash ravi slash minus s slash bin slash bash slash minus c soldier order minus u ravi. So in the above command minus m and minus d option, it creates a user with specified home directory, and the minus s option set the user default cell, and the minus c option adds the extra information about the user, and the minus u option, it creates or add a group with the same name as the user. Okay. And this is an example. So this is an example for add a user with specific home directory. And the next one is add a user with home directory, custom shell, custom command, and user id and group id. So the command is very similar to the above. So let's see the command. It is defining shell as bin slash uh, bin slash is it sketch and custom user id and group id. So it is referred as minus u defines the new users. Okay. And whereas the minus g defines the group id. So let's see the example. So root at localhost hash user id minus m minus d. So Tarunika, so there's a default one where www Tarunika and minus s slash bin slash uh, zsh and minus c soldier technical writer minus u 1000 minus thousand Tarunika. Okay. So the next one is the add a user with home directory, no shell, custom command, and user ID. So let's see the command. So the command is very similar to the above, and the only difference is we disabling login shell to a user called AVISHEK with a custom user ID. So minus S option adds the default shell, but in the case we set login to user has been no login. Okay. this is an example for this is an example for add a user. So the next one is add a user with home directory shell, customs shell command, and user id. So it is the only change in the command is minus k option is used. Use this. Okay. So the only change is minus k option is used is, and we also use minus s option to define different shells. Okay. So this is an example for add a user with home directory. Okay. And the next one is add a user without home directory, no shell, no group, no command. Okay. So the following command is very different than the other commands. So we use minus m option to create a user without user at home directory, and minus n argument is used tells the system only create username, and minus or and minus or arguments. 1 minute. So The minus or argument is for creating a system user. So here is an example for add a user without home directory. Okay. um, so for more information about the user id, to see the available option, here is an example for add a user with without home directory. Okay. so the below command is, so this is very too long. So it is an example for add a user with home directory. Okay. So thank you.